AI engineer is the #1 fastest growing job in the world right now. LinkedIn confirms it. Over 40,000 job postings on Glassdoor. Salaries from 100K all the way to $500,000. This video is for you if you already have domain expertise, marketing, sales, full stack development, healthcare, finance, and you want to add AI engineering on top. This is the multiplier. This is where real opportunities are. And here's what every other roadmap video gets wrong. First of all, they are built on 2024 or even 2025 data. Just in the last 7 months, the market shifted completely. And most AI career roadmap advisors do not really differentiate between the builder track and machine learning and researcher track. They are completely different jobs, different requirements, and completely different career paths. So I did something different. I read 497 AI engineering job posts from October 2025 all the way to April 2026. 7 months of data. Then I cross-referenced my findings with Stanford 2026 AI Index report that just came out a few weeks ago. 2 things might shock you. Anthropic Claude mentions in a job post over the 7 months 10x'd. Yeah, not 2x, not 5x, 10x'd. And now it's more mentioned than OpenAI. Agents are mentioned in more than a half of April postings alone. Agents is basically the new floor for application engineering. It's not just some buzzword anymore. It's an actual requirement on a job application. So if you're job hunting, if you're planning to switch career, or if you're even planning to hire AI engineers, this is the most realistic roadmap for AI builders, engineers, and architects. Tier by tier, backed by data, my own experience for working and building applications, not just opinions. Throughout this video, I will be referencing one specific job post. We recently selected Scale AI because they specifically look for applied AI engineering. It's enterprise level generative AI, and the salary that we are offering is between 216 and 270. But notice here the title. It's applied AI engineer, not machine learning engineer. It's also not a research engineer. Applied. This is the keyword that matters a lot. This means basically that you are building applications using AI and not building AI and large language models themselves. And if you're switching or upgrading your career, this is the path that is actually realistic to get into. Here's what Scale AI is asking specifically in their job post. Build the most advanced AI agents across the industry, including multimodal functionality and tool calling. Push production code in customer code bases. Have experience gathering business requirements and translating them into technical solutions. So let's pause here. Read that last line carefully. Gathering business requirements and translating them into technical solutions. That is domain expert becomes AI engineer in 12 words. If you have deep expertise in marketing, healthcare, legal, finance, journalism, and you can also build solutions for your industry and your niche, you are exactly what we are looking for and willing to pay over $270,000 a year. But here's what we do not ask for. PhD, published papers, custom model training, specific frameworks. They explicitly accept bachelor degree or equivalent strong engineering background. That's literally the door for self-taught people like myself who can show a portfolio of what they build. But first, here are some numbers that you need to know. Stanford 2026 AI indexed in a chapter 4 is the number that nobody is talking about. Software developer employment for 22 to 25-year-olds is down 20% since 2024. Same field, but at the senior level, the salaries are over $400,000. This is 2 completely different markets in the same job title. The bottom and kind of the middle of the market is collapsing. However, the top is paying record salaries. If you are experienced and have deep domain expertise and want to add AI engineering on top, I think this is where real opportunity is. This is where we go over the 100,000 and enter 200,000 mark in salaries. And you do not need PhDs. Only 1.8 8% of all the 500 jobs that I analyzed actually required one. So now let's talk practical. Let me show you exactly how to get there. One of the most common asked questions is, do I need to learn how to code? And my answer is no, not really, but you need to understand code. The first non-negotiable that is in almost every job listing is Python. Every AI engineering job that lists a primary language, that is Python. So if you already code, you need 2 to 4 weeks to learn Python and get comfortable with that. If you're starting from scratch, that might take 2 to 3 months. Harvard CS50 specifically for Python is completely free. Second, AI literacy. Every AI task is API call. You need to know what is REST, what is authentication, rate limiting, streaming responses. OpenAI, Anthropic documentation is completely for free. The skill is knowing when to use each model for cost, speed, and capability. Pay attention to the data. In my 7 months analysis of job posts, Claude went from 1.5% in October 2025 to 14.5% in April 2026. The OpenAI plateaued at 7% mentions. So if you do have time to specialize in one AI stack, market is telling you what you should pick right now. Reading documentation can have your first small chatbot by the end of the week. There are no excuses. Math. And this is my honest take. You do not need to know calculus, but what you need is basic statistics, probability, precision, and recall for evaluating the systems that you're going to build. Think basic linear algebra. You need to understand embeddings and vectors and matrices conceptually. That's it. If you want a structured way to actually follow the roadmap that I'm talking about here, instead of piecing together random YouTube videos that very quickly get outdated, DataCamp has an AI engineering track that covers exactly this progression. And DataCamp is one of the most recommended platforms for hands-on AI learning. It has over 14 million learners. It's top rated on G2 and Trustpilot. It consistently comes up in the Reddit threads when people ask where to learn AI. The big thing that I personally like is that you're not just watching tutorials. You are coding directly in a browser and getting interactive practice as you go. So it follows exactly tier 1 and tier 2 progression that I'm talking about. If you want to stack AI engineering skill on top of your domain expertise and use that in job application or post it on LinkedIn, there is an AI engineer certification now, which you can attempt to take after completing the whole track. If you want one place to learn by building, check out DataCamp in the description below. But here's my honest take. Structured courses like this are excellent for foundations. They will get you through tier 1 and tier 2. For tier 3 and beyond, I'm talking production, agents, security, red teaming, evals. You need to actually build. You need to get your hands dirty. And that's what I want to talk about next. Tier 2, this is where it gets real. And the data is very clear where to start. In my 7 months analysis of job posts, agents climbed from 41% in October 2025 to 52% in April. It never dropped below 34% in 7 months. Compare that to MCP, which was way more volatile and kind of rare. You can also compare it to evals. It's constantly bouncing between 5% and 12%. Agents is the only skill that is consistently in a top tier every month. But here's a catch that if you have not built agents, you wouldn't notice. Look at Glenn's posting Frontier Lab, meaning that we are actually building large language models. We want you to build LLM-powered agents that use tools and knowledge sources. Invent new agentic framework. That's the language of a Frontier AI lab. For building agents, you need to learn some of the frameworks, for example, React pattern. But you think, you use tools, you observe and decide. Use LangGraph for production, Crew AI for rapid prototyping. You can use OpenAI Agent SDK, you can use Anthropic Agent SDK, and that allows you to build more clean systems. Most postings just say agents, and they just trust you will pick what fits. When you read this one word agent, you need to understand that you will need all these other skills that are found in all these different positions to actually build an agent, even if it's not mentioning those other skills. And really, it doesn't really matter if we say agents, applications, data processing, data, tools, products. I can promise you, you will always end up working and building evals. It's literally what sets your JSON file that your agents are reading from 95% to 99%. We will talk more about evals just in a moment. Next in tier 2 is prompt prompt engineering. Do not see this as soft skill. Very well engineered system prompt can completely eliminate fine-tuning and can reduce hallucinations by 60 to 80%. So you need to know few-shot prompting, chain of thought, structured outputs with JSON mode, prompts with version control. Look at prompts like you look at code. Embeddings and vector databases. This is how you get AI to understand your data. You convert text into numbers that capture meaning. These numbers act like a postal code, but here's an honest reality check from data. Only one specific vector database is mentioned, PG Vector. The employers care that you can do retrieval. They do not really care what you use for that. Pick one. Pinecone for production. You can use Chroma for rapid prototyping. I use Supabase and then I convert it to Convex. Pick something, build, and then you move on. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Here's where it gets interesting. In mid-market AI postings, startups, mid-tier companies, RAG is growing from 1.5% in October to 11.7% in April. That's good. It's becoming standard expectation, as it should. And this kind of goes against what most YouTubers talk about. In my snapshot, I have captured around 33 AI lab in their job postings. Anthropic, OpenAI, Mistral, Glean. RAG is mentioned 0. And this is where confusion comes from. Frontier labs build their own retrieval. So when we talk about RAG, you need to understand this process. Ingest data, chunk that data, embed, store, retrieve, generate. You understand that, then you move on to agents. Now, let's talk orchestration. LangChain, LangGraph, Llama Index, each appears in 2 to 4% of job posts. Do not pick a religion. Many AI labs build their own frameworks. The best advice I can give you is to learn one good enough so you can actually ship something. The market rewards those who build, not somebody who is deep expert in one specific framework. And the reality is that many that went all in on LangChain, they are so deep rabbit hole that it's really hard to switch. In tier 2, if you understand orchestration around month 4, you can have a working agent, a working RAG pipeline, and some sort of evaluation harness. That's already more than half of AI engineers on LinkedIn. But now let's talk tier 3. This is where most courses stop. Job posts start saying preferred, which just means this is what gets you the higher end of that salary range. We are talking 250 and above. Here comes evals. This is what separates medium engineers to senior engineers, startups that get acquired, and those who die out. But you need to know the truth. When I first ran an analysis, evals on average offered 65% more in salary. I was ready to tell you that evals is the only thing you need to know, but when you dig deeper, usually that comes for AI labs and companies that are actually building AI models. And those require different type of evals because you are testing the model itself, not the model in a production. Apples to oranges. Within this application building market, evals doesn't show up in a measurable salary premiums yet, but it is the single best technical signal that you have crossed. I can wire up API call to I can ship reliable production AI, and I have a way to test it and prove it works. Scale AI job post puts it in a daily work. Daily data-driven experiments will provide key insights around model strengths and inefficiencies, which you will use to improve your product's performance. That's evals. You are measuring what you ship. This matters. Anybody can get from 0 to 95 accuracy. That's easy. Anyone can call an API and write a decent prompt. The real engineering is 95 to 99.9. That last 4 to 5% is where everything comes together. Your prompt architecture, retrieval logic, re-ranking, caching. You define the metrics. You measure the precision, the recall, and faithfulness. Without evals, you are guessing. And with evals, you are engineering. And I can tell you from experience, we are in conversations now about acquisition. And the tech team, what they care about is not the whole architecture. They care about evals. They care about literally buying evals. Build a working evals harness on top of your domain expertise. Put it on GitHub, and you cross from tier 2 to more senior role, which is tier 3. Part 2 got here. This video is getting already way too long. In part 2, we are going to cover advanced tiers. We will cover cover in depth evals, MCP, open source models and how to leverage that, AI security, red teaming, deployment, and the one thing which actually matters more than any certificate. However, talking about certificates, I'm becoming Claude certified architect, so we definitely need to talk about that, which is first official Anthropic certification. Click that video to go to part 2 or subscribe to stay tuned. Thank you for watching.